Welcome to this week's Cattle Call. I'm Susan Littlefield on the Rural Radio Network. It is fair time, so we wish good luck to all those 4-H and FFAers. We'll talk about the fact that, it is county fair time. That old saying, as Brad and I were just talking, that, it's that time of year. County fairs come around, and so do the cattle prices taking a drop. We'll talk about why that's all being factored in. Cattle on feed report on Friday. We're going to see some market pressure, or is it going to be a no-brainer type of report? Also, cattle inventory report. Got some bad news. We'll talk about what's going to happen with that and some interesting things on the cash. So lots to unpack in today's discussion. As I mentioned, Brad Koima is with us. Koima and Varlick out of Sioux Center, Iowa. So let's first of all talk about the cattle. The fact that county fair is underway, and we do normally see a dip in prices, not because of the fairs, but because of the time of year.
You're absolutely right. It's just an easy way to remember it. I think it's the last half of July, right, when most of those fairs happen. Thanks for having me on. Of course, I enjoy this a lot, Susan. So that you let's talk a little bit about the seasonality that is, this time of year. And you said it correctly. I don't think it has a thing to do with the fact that there's a county fair and there might be 25 show calves or whatever, but it's the time of year. People are on vacation. People are distracted. It's probably hot. It's not today. Hallelujah, but it was hot this weekend. And so you've seen a slowdown in demand. Typically, very, very typically, you'll see a little bit of slowdown and a drop in the box beef then because of that. Also, this would be the time of year in the north where we're getting into the heart of the calf run, right? When this fall, the calves that we put on feed in the fall are fat, and they all kind of happen, generally this certain time of year. And so we got enough of them. So it wouldn't be unusual at all either that the cash market's a little bit sloppy this time of year too. So, that part of analysis isn't too difficult, but when it gets a little trickier when you look at a market like this one that is trading at such an unprecedented, ridiculous discount that you can say, well, but Brad, they've got a $12 break in the cash cattle built in to where the August cattle futures are, and it's the middle of July. And I go, like, no argument. How about the futures aren't really functioning that great, that we ought to be a little bit more of a closer to convergence here. So it's a good question because it plays into why we're doing what we're doing here today in the here and now, which is we just had a big rally. I think at least it plays into why the market's acting this strong right now, Susan.
So how steep could this discount go?
Well, I was hoping that today we're making a step toward convergence. I think if we'd have done this interview Monday morning, I and most other analysts, if you'd have said, well, what do you think about the cash? And I had said, well, it was a couple dollars lower last week. Beef's going to be a little lower this week. I would suspect that it wouldn't be surprising at all that cash cattle will be another couple dollars lower this week. Okay. So it's Wednesday only. Typically the cash trade doesn't develop till later in the week, but this morning there was a little bit of trade in Kansas initially at 187, which was $1 lower. And when that news came out, futures went from a little lower on August to actually higher. We sat here and I said, that's interesting because the futures trader clearly is taking this as a positive that the market is only $1 lower in Kansas. Okay. Fast forward another hour and a half. And now the market in the South comes back up another dollar. And now cattle are trading at 188, which is fully steady with last week. Clearly that exceeded the trader's expectation. That's why we're up $1.50, 60, 70 on the front month of cattle. So unfortunately, there's nothing that says we have to converge until you get to the last day of August cattle. But let's hope that the South has a little more bounce in their step because we will converge to the lowest price, not the highest price, even though the North is $10 higher than the South. So nice day today. I think the market really happy with the action today. The fundamentals are winning today, and I kind of get a kick out of that.
So can this momentum continue into tomorrow, knowing that we have a cattle on feed report on Friday?
Well, 2014 was a year where we didn't have much weakness. We had one break in August there in 14. Market, we kept surprising everyone, and the key to that market, and I think the key to this market is if we continue to stay this current, we can continue to keep that leverage. Okay. And I don't know why we wouldn't. That's one thing that a discounted structure market does. It tells you it should be telling you that, hey, we're afraid of the market. It looks like it's going to get lower. Well, that incentivizes you to sell cattle, right? The other thing that'll incentivize you every time is that they make money here. Okay, for the most part, these calves make nice money here, and the one thing that's pretty consistent is greed and fear, right? So when the cattle are making money, usually we're a little easier seller. Not to mention that feeder cattle are not exactly a real easy buy because they're not giving them away. So I think that's the key here. We'll hopefully stay current, and I think we will. Now, notwithstanding, the end of July, August, if this thing is a little sluggish yet here for a week or two, don't be too surprised. But I believe the market's too big a discount, given the kind of lack of supply that especially is happening in the north.
Well, here we sit in the month of July. We got told there would not be a cattle inventory report in July. Then we heard, yes, we will have a cattle inventory report. And now it's back to no again after guys were waiting on these numbers.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I got turned around on this information too, that initially they weren't. There was a great amount of outcry, both from individuals and organizations. I know I was part of that. Then I was led to believe that they had changed their mind. And so Monday, I do have a few people I know at the USDA, and these people are good people. It's not the person that I talked to. I did end up talking to someone that was quite highly placed, at least within NASS, and asked, so what is the bottom line? And unfortunately, he told me that they weren't going to have it. It's complicated, I suppose. It's budget cuts. It's hard to say that, but they allocate funds. To think that our government doesn't waste $500,000. That's what I was told they were saving by not having that report. But it's a matter of getting allocated to the right place. And I think that could have and should have and should be done. I expressed how disappointed we are because this issue is about transparency. This issue is about letting the producer have information to help him make plans, both short-term and long-term, to decide whether he should be holding heifers, if you're the hedger, to decide what kind of hedging you should be doing, one with upside potential or not, and on and on and on. I mean, don't think that the packer doesn't have whole floors of analysts that are trying to figure out how many cows and what the calf crop is out there. This is our best tool that the producer can have. I don't know why we're eliminating it and taking it from them for such an insignificant amount of money. So I'm a nerd on this stuff because I was engaged with Cattle Contract Library. I was engaged with price discovery, all those issues, at the NCBA level. So I know how many reports there are. We got 1 million. We got plenty of them for the poultry industry and the swine industry. And I'm not dissing any of those,
right?
But those are completely vertically integrated industries already. How much do we need to know about price discovery and information for those two industries compared to the cattle, which is the last one where at least the North trades half of their cattle on a negotiated basis. So I had a nice visit. I expressed my opinion very firmly. He's supposedly going to bring it, to higher channels. But for this year, and what's really annoying, Susan, is this is the most interesting one we've had maybe in my career, because we're right at the cusp of that. Are we going to tip this thing over now? Are we going to start the expansion phase? What are we going to really do with heifer retention? And never mind. It ain't that big a deal. We'll see me in January. I don't know. Sorry. I'm really disappointed. It's not people's fault. It's the system's fault, I think. And it's too bad. And I don't know. I think it's probably legislative people that need to be talked to about this. And they probably don't know. So we got to let their staffers know how important this is and get this fixed, because this is just wrong.
If there was ever a call to action, I think it's right here. As you talk about, our cattlemen and women need to pick up the phone and make those phone calls.
Yep. I agree. Thanks for giving me a chance to put a plug out for that deal, because it does work. But, these legislators, there's too many issues, right? So if you don't get it in front of them, it just, goes over, right? So
definitely. I appreciate your time. What's the best way for folks to get a hold of you guys?
The phone is 712-722-0023. Our website is kkvtrading.com. And either way, we'd like to hear from you.
All right. Quick reminder, commodity futures and options do involve a substantial risk of loss, not suitable to all investors. That's been this week's Cattle Call. And real quick, Brad, can they still make a donation to the wonderful community of Rock Valley?
Absolutely. Call me and I'll point them there. I know you put up a deal last time, Friends of Rock Valley. It's a 501(c), so it's tax deductible. It's going to be monitored. It's going to be locally decided on who gets the money. It's going to go right to people that have lost their homes and stuff like that. And thank you to those that have already reached out, but it's a big ask, and it's going to take a lot of money. Thanks again for letting me plug that.
Hey, no problem. And that's been this week's Cattle Call on the Rural Radio Network.